my thoughts on it are kind of negative, why he wouldn't do it.
Well, I would get that impression as well myself. However, on the other hand, there are a lot of people who don't understand an issue, and then they just think that's just one more thing on my plate I don't want to deal with.
Yeah,
You know,
maybe.
so we'll give them the benefit of the doubt at this
Well-
point, because as time goes on, both of you are going to be available to talk about this issue, right?
Right.
So there's plenty of radio stations all over Wisconsin, right? And in the Milwaukee area, I think we're number 23. So there's a lot of stations available to talk about this topic, giving you a chance to voice it. And then maybe somebody will say, well, why is he against this, or why doesn't he like this?
So a big part of this is public education, even of our legislators.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, this really influences them, and if we get enough millions of people saying, we want a constitutional amendment,
Right.
we really don't want a constitutional convention, we want to do it the other way, where you just have your legislators vote on it, 2/3 of them voted in to say that they'll consider it, and then in order to pass the referendum, which we should say what it is
Yeah.
at some point, 3/4 of them have to pass it for it to become an amendment. So that's how it goes. And if we get enough states, and we've got a lot, I mean, there are 137 municipalities who have passed this so far.
Wow.
So LA and New York, everybody knows about. But there are just a lot.
Yeah.
It's all over the country, and you hear about it zip, because when we won the thing in West Dallas, there was hardly anything in
Yeah.
the paper at all. Nobody knew there was, and much less public education about it.
Yeah. You think that, here I'm a resident, right? I live here, and I didn't even know that it was in West Dallas. And I usually, keep my eye on the paper and, watch the blogs and, and I had heard about Move to Amend, and it just sort of like on the fringe. And I thought, well, okay, what is this about? And then when your name came up and I was told about this, I thought, oh, okay, now I want to dig a little deeper and find out some more about this. So, yes, public education's everything. And, of course, since this would render corporations useless, I guess.
No, they would be non-persons.
They would be non-persons.
And they're not persons. We can write.
Yeah.
We can develop laws and rights for them.
But that doesn't...
They don't have to be a person. These are inalienable rights inherent in us because we are human.
Yeah.
The free speech and all of that. Now, they would still have free speech because everybody in the corporation is a person, and they can talk about the corporation. They can say anything they want.
Yeah.
So they would still have free speech.
They would still have free speech, but they would lose what?
Well, if money isn't speech, they would lose the ability to secretly funnel money into elections. So you need both. You need corporations not being people and money not being speech.
I see. So well, they wouldn't like that very much, would they?
They don't seem to, because we're getting no press.
Yeah. And that
Or radio coverage.
Yeah. So, and since most of the stations belong to these large corporate entities
that are making lots of money from this decision.
And this is another thing, that we're trying to do here at River West Radio, is to educate the community, saying you own these waves. They belong to you. They are your waves, and these big corporations pay us no rent. They pay us nothing for this. I mean, this is really incredible real estate.
Yeah.
And they pay us nothing. They give us nothing in return to fill the air with what it is they're buying or what it is they're selling to us. I had a friend say something the other day I just thought was a marvelous quote. He said that the mainstream media, the corporate mainstream media, won't tell you how to think, but they'll tell you what to think about.
Yeah.
And
right.
so when they keep certain issues on the front cover, on the front of their newspaper, on the front of their blogs, on the radio, they don't tell you everything else that's going on too that could be helpful to you as a citizen. So, our efforts here is to try and get take some of that back to give, the average citizen here in at least River West the opportunity to, to voice their concerns, their thoughts, their creativity. And so, it just seems that the corporate media is kind of pushing down on us, so that we think what it is they want us to think.
Yeah, and just to have this on the ballot
Yeah.
would open people's eyes, even if they didn't hear anything we said before.
Yeah.
They would go, like a lot of people did in West Dallas who signed a petition, they would go, heck yes, a
Yeah.
corporation isn't a person and money isn't speech. Who decided that?
Yeah.
You know?
So now getting this word out in West Dallas, maybe you got lucky. Did you have to do much promotion? Did you have to do much education? What do you think got people in West Dallas? Did they just read it and say, "Oh yeah, this is common sense"?
Most of the people that came up to me did, yeah.
Yeah.
That I went up to. Didn't, I would say 70 to 80% of them said, oh, well, that makes sense. And they didn't all know the words Citizens United as being the Supreme Court decision in January of 2010, but they knew that the Supreme Court had decided that a corporation was a person and money wasn't speech.
Yeah.
Or money was speech.
Yeah.
Oops.
I know.
I'm telling the truth.
That's okay.
So that was very interesting to me because these are hardworking people. They probably work 50, 60 hours a week at least. And they had time to understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, we did some education. We did door hangers. We hung $1 million bills, fake $1 million bills on doors with the wording of the referendum on the back. And maybe I should read that now.
Yeah,
what
please.
it
Yeah,
says.
read it, do.
Resolve the city of Milwaukee, Wisconsin calls for reclaiming democracy from the effects of undue influence by amending the United States Constitution to establish that 1, only human beings, not corporations, are entitled to constitutional rights, and 2, money is not speech, and therefore regulating political contributions and spending is not equivalent to limiting political speech.
Very good.
So
I think
that's
anybody
nice.
who would read that and have even a 3rd, 4th, 5th grade education would understand what's going on there.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, your presentation is very, very simple. And I like the, what is that, $1 million bill?
Yep.
With the Statue of Liberty on there. So if I see, a $1 million bill, that gets my eye, and I know a lot of people are going to go, oh, what's this? $1 million. So maybe I can win something or.
It's fun to hand out in a
Yeah.
crowd, I'll tell you.
Because people look at this and they know it's funny money. They know that but you can't help, because we look at money so much in our lives. We're paying for things that, you kind of just naturally look at it and go, well, what does $1 million look like? And what's this
Now you
about?
know.
But you do stamp on there, it's a not legal tender, so. And you can clearly tell it's a photocopy, so.
Yeah.
But it has everything you need to know, and it was really designed quite well. Did you guys do this? Did you put this together? Very nice.
Jim pretty much did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we had help in that, and the first lead-in questions that says that if you believe when Abraham Lincoln said that our government is of the people, by the people, and for the people, that he meant human beings, and he did not mean corporations. And it goes on to say that if you believe that freedom of speech is to protect us against censorship, and it is not a guarantee that wealthy people and groups may spend as much money as they want to influence elections. So these are very simple thoughts.
Yeah.
And, there are times when I went up with $1 million bill to people and says, here, I'd like to buy your vote. It's an example
That's
of
always
what's
fun.
being
Yeah.
done behind closed doors.
Yeah.
And that's how really the United States of America is being changed by corporate power.
Yeah.
It's the $1 million bills or less or even more
Yeah.
that's influencing people who make laws that govern all of us.
Mm-hmm.
I see that, and not only is this a beautiful piece of work and very clear in the back, but you're out there on the street approaching people, which is really wonderful. Now, West Dallas is a pretty good size area to cover. Is it just the two of you doing this?
Oh,
or-
no, we had a crew. We had a lot of people from grassroots South Shore come. We had a lot of people come from Milwaukee. We had a lot of people from West Dallas. Oh, we didn't really pay for advertising. We don't have a budget, which is why we're spending this $19,000. We don't, and you know that money would be better spent on public education, really.
Sure.
But we just talked to people about the petition, and you know some people would argue with us, and that was fine. I mean, they were really engaged citizens, and that was very nice. So yeah, we that's how we did our publicity.
So a lot of this is really just being done by word of mouth.
Right.
Yes.
You know,
Right.
which is, you know, I mean, that works really well. Unfortunately, though, you should have the radio waves to broadcast this.
Yeah,
And those aren't available, so, you know, we're working on that, too. Now, in Milwaukee County, of course, this is huge, so you're going to need a lot more volunteers.
Yeah, we would love more volunteers.
So-
'Cause we
so
want to
I-
do speaking and things like that
Yeah,
too.
I encourage people to send you an email.
Yeah, MaryLana@yahoo.com.
Yeah. And get involved in this because this is really exciting. And it's so needed. It may be too late, but it's, you know, let's catch up. This is great. Now, you have the West Dallas, you approach the county. We're looking at the future here, what the ramifications are if we don't get this. If we do,
Okay.
if this does pass and we do get this amendment and it
Here in
sweeps across
Milwaukee?
here in Milwaukee. Well, let's start with Milwaukee first. Let's start from the small and build up from Milwaukee. Once it happens in Milwaukee, then what?
Well, then we want to go to the state level. We're going to go all over the state and
Wow.
promote this and talk to people about it and what it means. Mark Pocan has written a resolution. He's a representative from Madison. But it only talks about money not being speech. So that's basically campaign finance reform.
Yeah.
If you want to change the power structure, which that's the problem, is the power structure. The people don't have any power anymore.
Yeah.
So then you have to talk about corporate personhood. You know, the first part, only human beings, not corporations, are entitled to constitutional rights.
So let's see. You got this done in West Dallas. It's coming to Milwaukee County. Let's say it happens. Then you go to the state. Now you have one legislator there who's working just on the money aspect, but you want to educate the whole state to delineate between what is a person and what isn't, or what is a person. And let's say that you get the whole state of Wisconsin. And how many more states do you need to actually make it, get it on the legislative tables in the federal government?
6 states have passed money isn't speech already.
6 states have already done it.
Yeah. Only one state did the move to amend statement, which is money isn't speech and corporations aren't people.
Okay.
So I guess we need 49 more.
Well, I think once a couple states get it right, you'll see
Yeah.
it sweep. Yeah, I can see states like Vermont, New Hampshire, Hawaii, Alaska.
Hawaii passed the money isn't speech.
Yeah, I'd see that Washington State, and then once you get a half dozen of those states, then California takes it, and then it just sweeps the nation.
Yeah.
So now we're talking about just getting this on the November ballot. How far do you see in the future before that we could get it on all the states or get it to
To the
Congress? Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows? I mean, the 18-year-old voting rights amendment only took 6 months. This is going to probably take longer.
Yeah.
This may take 2 years. It may take 10 years.
Yeah.
But we're going to keep working on it
Yeah.
because it's essential to our democracy. Because what's happening is if a political person, a politician, doesn't kowtow, then they get the negative ads against them,
Yeah.
and who knows where they're coming from, right?
Yeah.
Because it's secret money. They don't have to declare. So they will be out, just like Russ Feingold was.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that happen. You saw
Yeah.
that coming down. Now, our culture today is surrounded by a lot of celebrities. Have there been any celebrities that have hopped on and helped push this forward? And have you talked to any, have you, put your eye on a few people that you'd like to get, to promote this? What about the Green Party? How do they feel about this?
Oh, they're for it, yeah.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, Jill Stein stayed at our house when she was here. She's running for president for the
yeah, yeah.
Greens, and she stayed at our house, and she was very positive about it.
Right.
Okay, so there's one political party that is supporting this. What about the Democrats? Have you talked to any of the the leaders of the Democratic Party?
Yeah, sure. And actually, it's on their platform.
Aha. Okay, so it's on the. What about the
Even
Republicans?
though it's nonpartisan. I don't know any Republicans.
Okay.
That's a dumb answer, but it's true. And we keep talking about reaching out to them because we had people from the Tea Party sign our petition.
Yeah, yeah. I
You
mean,
know?
this is a really strong issue on the Ron Paul side. The Libertarians are really for this. They want that out. They believe that corporations are not human beings. That I know. So you got Democrats, you got Greens, you got probably the Libertarians are there. It's just trying to find Republicans somewhere.
Actually, in a poll, 68% of Republicans agreed that corporations aren't people and money isn't speech.
Well, it was kind of interesting because when you go back to 2008, is it 2008, and they passed TARP, there were more Republicans who signed on against TARP than Democrats. So, yeah, so this fiscally conservative Republican would probably find this more appealing than, maybe more moderates who, I mean, I had a difficult time convincing the, just our congressional representative here to sign on a bill to audit the Fed. I mean, we'd like that transparency. It would be nice to see who's getting all this money. But she voted against that bill, which I thought was really stunning. Yeah, I know. So, and that's coming from a Democrat, right?
Yeah.
So, it makes you wonder where the influence is and why people reason the way that they reason. But I think with this particular bill, this seems to make sense to a lot of people. They feel this almost in a rage that it shouldn't be happening, and I think maybe that's a uniting force in a way to bring all the sides together and focusing on the issues that do bring us together, because it seems the media is very divisive and keeps trying to divide us. They'll find these on the edge issues or these fringe issues that make us argue. Like whether or not you're pro-life or pro-choice. I don't know if you could ever resolve that, but why is that standing out more than things that really unite us?
Yeah, conflict makes a story, they think.
Yeah. What do they say? If it bleeds, it leads, right?
Yeah.
So they play on that, and that's the corporate media looking to get ad revenue. Right.
Right.
Well, I think it's also they like to harp on the emotionally based kinds of issues.
Yeah.
And so, when you talk about necessarily money is speech, well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Now, maybe when you talk about is a corporation a person, maybe that might hit home better. When we knocked on doors in West Dallas, we didn't have a long discussion. People would say, "Oh yeah, a corporation is not a person,"
Yeah.
or "I don't want money to be speech." And so it's very simple. I mean, you knock on the door, and after 30 seconds, most people would sign the petition.
Yeah.
Especially in West Dallas, they would ask us, well, what about unions? Shouldn't unions not be able to give money? And we informed them, and then they signed that most unions are incorporated.
So they are corporations. And yeah.
They are incorporated.
And the unions over the at least the past 30 years haven't been very helpful.
No.
They've declined quite a bit.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of controversy even within union members about how the unions conduct business. So there's some reform that needs to be done there as well. So yeah, this is exciting because this is I think it's a movement that not only is sweeping the nation, it's doing it without any press, very, very little.
Right.
And that's a good thing. And in a sense, maybe it's even better because it makes it stronger.
Sort of like the women's movement.
Yes.
All they talked about was burning bras, which never happened, and a bunch of women hating and all of that sort of thing, like you were talking about, the conflict.
Yes.
But it changed our lives. It changed my life.
Yeah.
I'm a PA. I wouldn't have been allowed in PA school. They only picked 3 women out of 13 people they picked. Only 3 were women, and that was the minimum to get the federal money.
Wow.
So, and of course we all had really good grades, and
yeah.
So
I guess that just goes to show everyone that doing your civic duty, you have to remain vigilant, always vigilant, because just if you think about, from the 60s to the 70s, 80s, the last 30 years, little by little by little by little, we're losing our civil liberties.
Yeah.
We're losing, our bank accounts are going empty. Inflation is a new tax. And we have these endless wars. Somebody pointed out to me the other day, World War II didn't last, and Vietnam didn't last as long as this conflict. I don't know if it's a conflict or a war anymore in Afghanistan.
It's an occupation, really.
Well, and so, and yet then we find ourselves in Libya, and then we find ourselves in, now we're in Uganda, in Yemen, and we're funneling money to the Syrian rebels, and then we find that there's Al Qaeda that we're actually funding, which is who are fighting in Pakistan, and so
this relates to lobbyists, doesn't
Yes,
it? Because
it does.
the peaceful people don't really have a strong lobby. We don't have a lot of money, but Blackwater, which is now called XE.
Yeah, I think they changed that name again.
And then
too.
they changed that name again too, because they don't want anybody to know who they are, because they're so despicable. And they're lobbying.
Yeah.
And that's the military-industrial complex that is really old. Boeing and all these corporations.
Lockheed Martin, right?
Yeah, I mean, they all have more money than we the people, and we've got to stop this lobbying.
Yeah.
And that's what this amendment would do.
Well, I'm so glad that both of you were able to come in today. I want to just have you reiterate again the website.
Okay, it's SEW for Southeast Wisconsin -MTA, movetoamend.org.
Okay, and your email address again?
MARYLAN@yahoo.com.
Okay. And I want to thank my guests, Mary Lan and Jim Ito, for joining me today on 3 Words. It's so wonderful, really, to speak to folks who are doing and working to create a better future for our country.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope to speak to you both again in the future and follow the progress of the movement as we get closer to the election. So I'd like to invite you back again and
Great.
keep in touch so
Sure.
we can find out what's going on. And so I'm asking my listeners, please get in touch with Mary and Jim, get involved. You have to get involved just so you can get one of these $1 million bills. They're really wonderful.
We'll pay you.
Yeah. Who knows? This might be worth more than the stuff in our pockets right now, our wallets, pretty soon. So asking people spread the word of our efforts to bring enlightened voices and topics that affect your life and the community, the nation, and the world. Our shows are archived for your convenience at riverwestradio.com and on youtube.com at 3 Words. Words Radio, along with our website, 3wordsradio.org. We hope you will listen and continue to support your public community radio waves. Remember, you own them. Support and take good care. This is Liza Brooks. Thank you for listening. Get that going.
This is an audio file from OnClassical.com. Go to our site to download the complete album in hi-fi quality.